G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Rundown Under with Mags. This is my whenever the hell I feel like it news section where I cover what's going on the channel, recent events, what else is happening in real life, and basically talk shit for 10 minutes. So, I do have a couple of things that I want to cover today. One thing in particular that was really surprising, and I'm really excited about it. But first things first, as I promised in the last one of these, I did the F4U Corsair design is now complete. It's in a light blue to dark blue gradient with all color options available. So I'm not doing the white to the color to black, the color to white gradient that I did last time. The gradient on this particular one is actually meant to reflect the much lighter paint schemes that the F4U had at the start of its lifetime with the US Navy, through to the much darker paint schemes that it had towards the end of the war. I was going to progress this through to the dark, almost charcoal grey that they were in during the Korean War, but it didn't look too great on the design. So light blue to dark blue gradient and all color options are available on this one. So if you like the design, please check it out. Link in the video description down below and link at the end of this video. Now, the next design that I'll be covering is, of course, as mentioned in the last video, is going to be the A6M. I have decided on the A6M5, as I had that one requested a lot. And I've already started the early phase of the design on this one. It should be complete probably before next weekend, or at least that's where I'm tending to have it done. As for the next two designs, I'm actually going to go off the aircraft pairs a little bit for the next one. I come up with a design that I particularly like, that I would like to complete, that is, well, it's in the same theme, but it's just slightly off. I think it's something that US naval aviation fans will actually like a lot, particularly those who like more modern aircraft, but it's a slightly different design to what I'm doing. And I've also been thinking about doing a prototype. I've been looking at the recent War Thunder test server. We've got the Sky Shark coming in. There's been a bit of controversy about it, but it is a fantastic looking aircraft. So I am considering doing a Sky Shark design. I actually wouldn't mind doing a series of, failed prototypes or prototype aircraft that never reached full production. Some that were just completely unsuccessful, and some that actually flew and nearly got to the production phase. Because these are aircraft that definitely have an important place in history, but at exactly the same time, they're not the kind of thing you're ever going to find on a shirt, because obviously as prototypes, they never really did anything. They were never in any famous historical battles, they were never deployed in any serious numbers, and therefore they are generally fairly low interest for most designers. So I'm thinking about some of those. There is a massive selection of potential prototypes that I could look at there, but I am thinking about doing the Sky Shark first because it is kind of cool looking, as much as it killed a number of its own test pilots and at one point had its own prop fall off in flight. It wasn't a great aircraft. So anyways, moving on, as I'm sure you've noticed, the background footage for today's Rundown Under is Arma 3. Now, Arma 3 is a game that I've liked and been playing for quite some time. I have nowhere near enough Arma 3 content on the channel, and I have been looking into getting Arma 3 back onto the channel over the last couple of weeks. And it turns out that my timing on looking into that just happened to be very well chosen, because Bohemia just yesterday dropped the trailer for its next expansion.
Talk to me. We good? I don't know, LT. Alright, let's keep it together. None of us were expecting this. I know, I get it.
No, none of us were expecting this. The expansion is called Arma 3 Contact, and it introduces aliens to Arma 3. Now, this may seem odd for what is meant to be a realistic milsim shooter, but I actually think this is a genius move for Bohemia. Essentially, we've all seen first-person shooter titles that include aliens or transdimensional beings or demons or something of that like, some kind of alien enemy that you engage. But as a general rule, if you were to make a scale of the first-person shooter with Doom on one end and Arma 3 on the other, most of these games, even if they have a fantastic storyline and have fantastic gameplay, will lean far closer to Doom and the gameplay sort of side, or the game sort of a side, rather than the milsim. a genuine milsim title that takes its weaponry, its physics, and the way it operates extremely seriously, and then introduces aliens, I don't think has ever been done, or at least I can't think of any game that actually covers that. There may be mods that have done it, but I can't think of any official release products that have built a realistic milsim around aliens. Now, of course, the expansion is going to come with all of the standard Arma 3 major expansion trappings, so there will be new weapons, there will be new vehicles, there will be new gear, there will be new online scenarios, and it comes with a new 163 square kilometer map based in Eastern Europe to play on. And all of it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that, but the bit that excites me even more, Arma 3 is about mods. What the hell are the modders going to do when they get access to the assets inside of this expansion pack and can start using them to create their own mods? And how long do you think it'll be until we get to play the milsim version of XCOM? So yeah, pretty excited about that, and I'm looking forward to its release. It'll be at the end of July, and it can't come soon enough. And between now and then, expect to see some Arma 3 on the channel at some point, because I've got to spend a bit of time and get my eye back in. So of course, the other major announcement we have had is the pre-order announcement for the F-16 Viper by Eagle Dynamics for DCS World. So the announcement itself is rather short, although we do get some fantastic footage of the F-16 in its current state, and it does look absolutely amazing. I'm really looking forward to this aircraft, as I imagine many of you are as well. And we do get a soft release date for it as well. Now, that date is early autumn 2019, so that's somewhere between the 1st of September and the 30th of November. For everybody down in the Southern Hemisphere like me, remember the seasons are reversed. And nobody ever does release announcements based on Southern Hemisphere seasons, we're not that important. So anyways, somewhere in the next 3 to 5 months, give or take, which is actually a little bit closer than I was expecting. I was really not expecting the F-16 until probably closer to Christmas, but hey, I'll take it sooner if it's going to be available. Now, beyond that, there's not actually a huge amount more to say. It looks fantastic. We have a soft release date. It's a pre-order. There's a discount associated with it if you do pre-order. If you do want to pre-order, it's entirely up to you. I'm not going to recommend for or against it. You know, we've seen these before. We know how this particular song and dance works, but what was particularly interesting about this one was the map they're flying the F-16 on. This was, of course, a sneaky preview of the new Syria map that's currently under development. Now, when it comes to specific details about this particular map, I don't have any yet, and until there is a major announcement in regards to it, I don't think anyone will. But it's worth keeping in mind that on top of looking absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to blitz over the top of this city, Syria is the second Middle Eastern map that has been developed by Eagle Dynamics, with the first, of course, being the Persian Gulf map. Now, there has been talk for a while about Eagle Dynamics wanting to build a global map, or at least drastically increase the size of their own maps to allow for much larger scale operations. And I think, and this is my own personal opinion, I have no insider information on this, but I think we might be seeing part of that here. In the end, if Eagle Dynamics does want to scale the maps up, eventually it is going to need to link multiple maps together. Now, the current maps are obviously too far apart to do this. I mean, we've got the Black Sea, Nevada, Normandy, the Gulf, and the Falkland Islands is in development. There's no way to easily attach those maps into one global map. However, the only thing dividing Syria and Iran is Iraq. If an Iraq map was to follow the Syria map, and I'm not saying it will, but if it was to, Eagle Dynamics would then have 3 maps that, should they get past the engine limitations on map size, would allow a pilot to take off from the Gulf, in-air refuel over Baghdad before catching a wire on a carrier in the Mediterranean. Now, it could of course just be that they wanted to develop a Syria map and there was no other ideas that they had going on, but as I said, there has been talk about this kind of thing in the past, and this is the second Middle Eastern map. Of all of the potential combat sites around the world that we could have had, we're getting 2 in the Middle East. But as I said before, this is just my opinion, my thoughts. I have no insider information. It just does seem to be an interesting train of thought to follow. So other things to talk about. One that kept popping up over the last week was the carrier controversy for DCS, which has actually solved itself right now. For those of you who are unaware, Eagle Dynamics will soon be releasing a DLC aircraft carrier with all the bells and whistles. However, on initial announcement, if you wanted to play on a multiplayer map that had this carrier, regardless of whether or not you were planning on using the carrier or not, you had to have this DLC. If you didn't, you would be unable to join the server. As you would expect, people were upset, so yesterday Wags did an announcement where he said that this will no longer be the case. Players without the DLC carrier module will be able to connect to servers running it, regardless of whether they own it or not, and that there would be further details released sometime in the near future. Now, it's highly likely here that they'll just make the 3D model for the carrier available as standard for everybody, but all of the functionality and any of the special animations and so on for it will be locked to the DLC, so you'll still be able to catch a wire and use the catapults, but that will be about it. Otherwise, it is also possible that they'll run a replacement system where if you don't own the DLC carrier, instead you'll see just a standard Stennis. Now, we'll have to wait and see, of course, exactly which way they go, but as a general rule in DCS, if you're going to have an asset on the map, the asset needs to be visible to everybody, whether they've got a DLC or not, so it has to be present within the world. So one of these two options has to be the way that they're going to sort this out. And honestly, it doesn't really matter which way they go, so long as the carrier doesn't become a point where it's dividing up the community, and providing it's not, we're all good. So controversy is no longer a controversy. I'm a little bit behind, I know. I've got a little bit of a full plate on this end at the moment. So anything else? Oh, we had an election in Australia. We had the option of voting between cunts, more cunts, and cunts aligned with cunts, and in the end the cunts won. So yeah, that was a thing. So anyways, ladies and gents, I might call this one here. There's actually probably a couple more things that I could talk about, but I might save those for another video at another time. Anyways, remember to check the video description down below for all of my social media links. At this point in time, you well and truly know everything that's down there. Also, links to my Teespring store are both down below and should be popping up on the screen any second if they're not there already. Yeah, come and check out the designs. I've obviously got the MiG-29, I've got the F-16, and I've got the Corsair up, and it should be about a week and I'll have a Zero as well. And until next time, remember to click that like button, share and subscribe if you would like to see more, and as always, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.